be fully connected here. I'm on Facebook and YouTube together, so I'm just making sure I'm on both. Welcome, my name is Corey Thorne, the spiritual teacher, healer, leader, emotional and spiritual consultant, and so much more. So let me bring it up here just so I can see who and I have online and what I have going on here to make sure where I am. Oh, there's Lisa. I am here. Okay. Wonderful. Hello, Beth. Hello. Uh-uh. Let's see. Oh, Beth, that's funny. uh, Hello. And hello, Lisa and Lisa. Okay. And so I just want to stop in for a little bit here and have a little bit of a conversation. And as a, I just want as a, hi, Ray. Oh, look at that. See the comments coming up across the screen? Can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see it or if I can just see it, but I just seen Lisa Star Francis, ha ha ha, go across the screen. Oh, there it is. That must be new. Okay. Love it. Okay, so welcome. And I just wanted to stop in. We're just letting the room fill up a little bit here. I am well, and I hope all's well with you. So I just want to stop in. We have a lot of stuff that's going on this weekend. We have a lot that's happening. We have some courses that's being launched, and there's a lot of energy going on. So as a spiritual leader teacher, I just wanted to stop in and to kind of address where we are. I know here in Alberta, it's a real challenging time right now with all the implementations, all the restrictions that have been placed upon us, and all the things that are going on again. And so on my personal page, I posted something that I think I'll share over to my business page later, which really tells us about being being very compassionate towards each other right now. And so um, I just wanted to stop in. I am coming back, and I am coming back in tomorrow. So I'm coming back in tomorrow evening to do a full live readings Q&A. I'm going to do a Q&A tomorrow night. I'll launch on my business page. You'll see it on YouTube and you'll see it on Facebook. So tomorrow night I'm coming in to do a full night. I wanted to stop in this evening for a little bit. But I am coming in tomorrow night and I'm going to do a full Q&A. I'm going to pull some cards for people, do some readings for people and those type of things tomorrow. So that'll be tomorrow evening. I'm not quite sure of the time. I will post it though, so you'll know it is in Mountain Standard Time. Wherever you are, know that it is posted in Mountain Standard Time. I'm in Alberta. And then on Sunday, the second class of the Goddess Within, the Soul Revival starts. And then Monday evening, the group coaching on intuition also starts up. And that's a 4-week class that I'm doing. And so if you want to get into the Soul Revival, even though I did one last week, you can still get into start this week. You can even buy the whole package of all of the master classes that I've done in there. And so the master class into the coaching, that all starts Monday night as well. So I'm excited to start teaching those, and I'm excited to be able to come back in tomorrow night and do another Q&A. I was in the other night and pulled a few cards for people, but I just wanted to stop in and just address where we are right now, address some of the shifts and changes in energy. We are coming into the weekend and we're falling into a full moon again, and this full moon is going into Pisces. So we have a very emotional energy. I know I was listening to one of my intention beads astrology today, and they were talking about Pluto that's been in retrograde for like a long time now. It's been in there since April, is now taking a shift, and that shifts the energy as well. So we got a lot of shifting of energy that's happening. I am going to pull a few cards for the whole group here tonight, so wait and see what comes. I am working through the angelic realm this evening. I am just back. I just I was just in Leduc for the day. I had to go back that way for the day. So that's why I don't want to do full mediumship tonight. I am tired. I did work here today and then left, and I worked here for a bit and then left and drove there. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a few angel cards that connect to this energy. Hi, everybody. And I know I can't wait either, Carlene. It's going to be exciting. And so, hello. Oh, you're so welcome, Charlene. So welcome. Thank you for acknowledging it. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's always fills my heart when I get those thank yous, and I know how much this means to everybody, and I'm so thankful and so blessed to be able to do it, and I'm so thankful to be back again and be back into the work full time. So right now we have, we have people that are on all sides of the spectrum. We have people that are in all different stages within their journey, within their lives. We have people that are all, people are all over the place. So we have a lot of uncertainty that's happening in the world. We have a lot of like well, that's not rising in energy, it's lowering in energy, because all the things that are in what we call in the vices, or in the in that lower vibrating energy, is our anger, is frustration, it's envy, it's gluttony, it's guilt, is whatever that goes in that lower vibrating energy. And what that means is in the emotions. So when we are acting, reacting, and responding from the emotional self, there is a lot of like heavy energy that goes with it, a lot of unhealthy energy. And not that our anger is always a bad thing, it depends on where the anger is coming from. So when the anger is coming from the emotional charge, and often, it's that frustrations, is that life is not going the way that we want it to go and the way that we want things to be. And from where I live and operate from within me is knowing that, things are as they are often meant to be for the time that we are existing within, for the life, for the world that we are living in, or else it would not be happening. What it depends on is our actions, our choices, our decisions, on whether or not we continue to be in these cycles of energies over the coming years, centuries, lifetimes. And how we show up right now really matters. How we show up right now really matters. It really does. And I don't mean just so much as a big society, as a collective, how on our own personal journey, how we do, each and every one of us, that we all have our own responsibility to to be to be that person who can free ourselves of some of the emotional attachment, and to explore the emotions, not discount them. I don't mean discount them. There's a big difference in discounting your emotions and ignoring them. We don't want to ignore things, but to acknowledge what is in that emotion, and how big of a snowball has that emotion become. And where can I access my truth? Where can I go to for my truth? And that means raising our vibration. And we spoke about that earlier this week when I came in. And I know that language sometimes sounds like people are like, what the fuck is she talking about? What the fuck is she talking about? So emotions are in lower vibrating, your high heart, our conscious, what we connect to in our higher self, and just taking that breath and breathing through before we react, before we respond, those type of things. And before we step out and trigger a whole world, right? So it's like, I'm here to be in that center of that crossroads. That is, I signed up to be the person who can stay in that middle road, and to be able to hold the line, to hold the hearts, to hold the line, to hold that space, to hold that whatever, to be able to objectively listen to all sides, because I've been on one of those sides. I've been in one of those stories. I've been in many of those stories. And from my personal experience, what I have learned and what I've come to know is that when in fear, frustration, and lower vibrate, when in those entangled emotions that are also connecting to past stories, and not so much to just today, is that I made a lot of choices and decisions that did not serve me well for the future days that would follow. And so I got asked, not me personally, but a friend of mine asked a very powerful question on her personal page the other day. And people were kind of quick to jump on it. And I don't know how many people actually read the question. And the question was so powerful that it really, truly, I have been days and I haven't responded and I have an answer. That not an answer to the question, not an answer to the problem, but I have a response because I have a personal story. So if you've been in the situation and you have a personal story, then it is our stories and sharing our inspiration, our wisdom, our knowledge, how we've overcome things, how we've evolved beyond those things. That's what helps each other. And that's what's going to help each other the most, not triggering and reactivating trauma in people, not getting people to be all charged up, to be extra angry, we are in a very fragile state and we can't deny it. There's no denying it. There is a fragility that's just like, it's like jelly. It's like everything has softened so which means the world wasn't built on a strong foundation. Mother Earth is built on a strong foundation, as strong as it can be, but we weren't, like, not as a society, not as a world, and we're all programmed and conditioned. A lot of our belief systems, a lot of our upbringing, a lot of what we've been taught throughout our time upon Earth has often been based on, you know, the unhealthy parts of even our parents' lives, of making sure that it doesn't happen in our lives. But then it does happen because we all have to go through our experiences and we all have to have experiences. So that sense of we're going to do better and protect our kids from what are, it's like, as a parent, you're going to do better. We're going to relive our stories and do better than our parents did, and da da da. Well, when we keep trying to do that, we end up not being able to do that. And we end up being a part of the problem instead of part of the solution, right? So we're not going to be able to solve any of even our personal problems if you stay in the problem. Nothing can be solved in the problem. You can't hang out in the swamp and expect to clean the energy. You can't stay in the depths of the darkness and expect to live in the light. You have to be the change agent. And you have to be the one to step up, and you have to be the one to step out and away, right? It's about us doing all of those little things that bring about those changes. And so when we do this and when we become that inspiration, it doesn't say that you still don't have an anger, because an anger also goes into the innate of us. It is a part of us that warns us, that gives us a healthy anger. It warns us, it gives us the heads up. It works in alignment to the instinctual self and the intuition to be able to say, that ain't right. It's not right for me. It doesn't feel right. So an emotional connection means that you're tying it to a past story. You're connecting it to a previous experience, but all previous experiences are no longer existing. What's existing is the person that's right here, right now. Right here, right now. And so the story, so if you're going to use your stories, they should not be charged with emotions. Anything that we use to be able to do that and to do this work is that we have a filing cabinet of stories, but they're not charged with the old emotions, because we're not coming with an intention to force or to guilt or to shame people into changes or into choices, into making a different choice. We come about this to be able to share. So when you come from that right place within inside of yourself, and you can share with your own self your previous experience that is not charged with an emotion, that you can feel it within yourself, you can feel it within your body, within your heart, and you can say, okay, I can look at this differently, I can see this differently, but I can't deny the feeling, which is then the gut feeling. Right? You can't deny that gut feeling. And that's where that powerful that's when the powerful answer comes out. I get asked this all the time. And this was the question. It was like a friend had asked, because everybody's talking about your body, right? It's your body. You have the right. It's your body. You own your body. You have the right to do what you want to do with it. And so the question was basically about being pro, or, if you're pro-life, then how are you feeling about what is happening right now? Are you trying to force people to say yes to what they're trying to fight against, but you're pro? How are you dealing with this? And it was a very mature question. It was asked maturely. It wasn't an accusation. It was done in what we call emotional maturity. It was well thought out. It was well designed. And why she was asking it, because she was probably existing within that as well. And so knowing that, I have personal experience. And because I have a personal experience, I have a story, and I have a powerful story. But it's not going to be the answer that everybody would want you to have by someone who experienced that experience. Because I have been through it, people assume. It's the same thing with assuming because I'm a spiritual leader teacher, then I take this side on certain subjects. And I'm like, no. And the reason why I don't is because I see the flaws. The things that went wrong in my experience with that pro-life, pro-choice, and all of those things was that I I entered into it out of fear. I was a fearful woman. I was hurting. I was scared. I was afraid. And when I asked questions, when it was so close to the experience, I wasn't allowed to ask questions. When I wanted to see the unborn child, I wasn't allowed. And it's like, no, it's too late now. We give you the pill first, kind of thing, so that you can't really change your mind. And so there was a lot of things that played out in my personal experience that I documented and said, if I'm in a position where somebody comes to me and tells me that they have to make that choice, I would give them my story and say, now you have to create, but you have to make up your mind. Nobody can make up your mind for you. You have to. I wish that the people that stood outside the door that shamed me when I walked out, spit on me, threw things at me, I wish that one of them was spiritually and emotionally mature enough to have been able to sit in that place and say, there's 2 offices here, and we're going to meet you here in each office, and we'll tell you all the stories because we know the experiences we know, and we're going to give you we'll give you the transparency. And that's what's missing in the world, and that's what's missing in us, is transparency. Is we are not always honest with ourselves. We're not always true to our truest of selves. We're true to our shadows. We're true to the personas, to the mask, to the roles that we play, as is the world. So we want to make honest, true, authentic decisions. We have to be authentic. And I wrote a big blog about Lucifer energy, and that I'm going to share that in a blog. And I wrote, Lucifer energy is when you're at the door of your choices. And that Lucifer energy says to me, don't make friends with me. Don't make friends with me. I didn't get to drop all the way down. I got to sit right here. And so in that experience, in that moment, I had to make a choice. And then you have to live with your choices. You have to live with your choices. You have to live with your decision, not the ones that made a wish upon you to make that decision, that choice. They don't have to live with what you have to live with. What I had to live with changed my life forever. What I had to live with put me in my own personal hell. And my own personal hell led me to a place that I couldn't even be the mother that I needed to be to the daughter that I had. She didn't get all of me. She got parts of me and the shadows of me. So your choices, your decisions, be honest, be authentic with yourself, be true to yourself. And know that you can question you. Take time to think about what it is that is true for you. You don't have to be, don't be guilt shamed into making a choice and decision that does not align to what your soul is telling you in that moment. It doesn't mean you're not going to change your mind. It means you're asking for transparency. You're asking for a truth that you can live with. You're asking for someone to tell you the other side of the story. And so I don't spit on somebody. I don't judge somebody that way, and I don't hide the fact of what else is happening. Or else I wouldn't be more than existing. I am the brand. I wrote the books. And it's about being that honest with yourself. You're authentic, because I had to do a lot of healing to be able to stay at this place and to know that only from here, nobody ever makes my decisions or choices. I make them. And I know I have to live with them when I make them. And that's what you have to remember. So when we wish upon another to do the things that are going to provide back to you your life, you're asking someone else to sacrifice theirs. And asking someone else to sacrifice their against theirs, their dignity or and integrity. And so being able to be in that place to know that you can have that connection to your innate, but the emotional connection, that divide, what's being triggered in everybody right now. And I'm bringing this up now because we're coming into a full moon, and so we're going to see a big rise in this energy as well. And knowing that things are going to dismantle even more before it gets better. There is no doubt. No doubt. But that doesn't mean that we have to get worse before we get better. That means we do better right now. That we start doing better right now to see better results. That we start thinking better, feeling better, think better. What can you do right now to let your eyes see the beautiful things? What can you do to start to feel that better energy within you? How could you start to charge up your energy instead of letting it continually drop down, drop down, drop down? We don't want to be grounded and rooted in the same old stories and in the muck. We don't want to be in that murky energy. We'll never make wise choices and wise decisions if it's in that murky energy. No problem ever gets solved inside of a problem. Ever. Somebody has to rise up, and someone has to rise up out of the problem. And we're here now to start to rise up. So my intention is to do lives that help rise that energy, that bring us back into faith and hope and love, to be there for each other, to hold the space. Well, people have to make up their own minds. And in here, all is welcome. All is welcome, because it's not about me judging who is right and who is wrong. We could all be wrong. We could all be wrong. Right? And exactly, we do better right now during the darkest days, because what we do right now defines our days that are in the light. Do we return to another imposter light, or do we come into true light? Because before, it's like we were living in a whole fluorescent light, and a lot of this world is not a real, right? And to remind ourselves of that, I do have to pick up the card that went flying across the floor. Because it's obviously a card of importance. So to defend our rights don't mean that we have to become defensive. It doesn't mean that we have to become angry to a point that we're aggressively pushing or rude to people. Ignorance and rude is two different stories. And so that we're not rude to people, that we're not showing people that sense of, lack of dignity. And so the card that went flying across is the Seven of Fire. And we're at a pivotal turning point in our lives. We really are. and she's riding her dragon in. She's riding in on her magic. And in on her magics is that she can defend. So you can defend your beliefs without having to push your beliefs upon another. And how do you defend your beliefs? Stay strong in who you are. And that means, first of all, you got to find you. Because if your shadows are running, I spend a lot of time playing in the shadows. I spend a lot of time with shadows. And I can tell you, most people don't even know they're in their shadows. Most people don't even know that's a shadow. Most people don't even know it's a persona. It's a role that we play because we've been so programmed and conditioned to be who we are. And we're always in defensive, being a rebel to it, making sure, like proving who we are, that we don't even know that's who we are. And so when we look at this is to stand your ground. What stand your ground means is to stay grounded and rooted in your truth, in knowing who you are. And like I said, nobody makes up my mind for me. Nobody. I don't care if Susie and Joe and everyone else are going to play in a playground. I choose. Because I, too many times, have left my life in the hands of somebody else. I have said yes to other people when I should have said no. I've returned into situations that my gut said don't go back, and I did it. I've done the things that I should not have allowed because I would go, oh, I guess, yeah, maybe I don't know, or maybe I'm wrong. But as I said to somebody yesterday in session, when I trust my full intuition, and this is why I teach intuition, because I have impeccable intuition. When I stay in my intuition, it's never fucking wrong. Ever. It might not be when people want it. It might not be the way that people want to see it, but it's truth. And so when you know you, not when you're a rebel to knowing you, not when you're fighting for a cause that you've even forgot what you're even fighting for, you're just in the mob, when you step away from the mob. So the brave always walks with the crowd. Remember that. The brave will always walk with the crowd, whether it's one side or the other side, don't matter which side. The courageous says, I'm going to take off all my armor, I'm putting down all my weapons, and I'm going to walk ahead, and I'm going to say, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. We look at this, that we research this, that we do this, and to know that, it's not, but when you're in a situation where you're having fire aimed at you, when people are literally attacking you, you have a right to defend you. How you defend you, it matters, because it's not what you leave on them, is what happens within you when you defend yourself. What can you live with in that defensiveness, right? When you go to defend yourself and you speak into a powerful truth of knowing who you are at your core, it's one that when you walk away, you go, fucking right, I am so fucking proud of myself, right? Because it's not that you attack. You don't have to attack if someone attacks you. You can give it with wisdom. You can back it with just knowing who you are. I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to defend myself against you. I don't have to justify myself. I don't have to explain myself. And I definitely don't have to give you any of my power. And I don't have to give away me to make you happy, to have a fight, right? And when you can learn to do that, it's amazing. Don't give people your power. You keep that for yourself. And that card went flying across the floor. So when I speak about being kind and compassionate, you do remember that you're involved in that, right? That you have to show yourself the same kindness and compassion. And sometimes that means you have to stand strong on your feet, put your shoulders back, and speak from that place of truth. When you speak from there, it doesn't attack anybody. It might feel like it to people, but it's not an attack, because it's not coming from lower vibrating energy. It's not coming from the emotional. It's coming from what you feel and know to be true within you. And so our other cards that comes with this is fear surrounding money. And of course, right now, that's one of the pulls to all of this, is We'll take this away from you unless you do. That's called like extortion, right? It's like you're taking away. And so money, I want you to remember this, money is energy. Money is energy. And so that fear and lack of is, sometimes sometimes you have to accept that you're going to have to go to a place of wisdom and say, how do I deal with this? What do I do? How do I cope through this? And how do I make those changes that I want to make? And I feel like on the other end of a lot of this is that you're seeing a lot of people no longer leaving their future in the hands of others, no longer leaving it in the hands of organizations, of big establishments, because as long as your future is in the hands of a big establishment, you are, no matter what, you're at the mercy of waiting in fear of whether or not somebody else is going to feed you today, whether or not someone's going to provide that for you. And so you're going to see a lot less of that as we move forward, is that as long as that energy is in charge and that energy is feeding you and that energy has that much control and power over you, you're always going to be feeling as if you are being squished down, suppressed in some way. Finding your way into, how do I find ways to be able to make sure that I keep my energy flow going? How do I provide to me? How do I give to me? And so knowing that is something to start exploring right now. How can I, so it could mean, another opportunity so that you're not held hostage to a system. So you're not held hostage to somebody else's control. And that's not just there. That could be in relationships, right? It's like one person controls all the money and you have to ask where if you can spend the money. And there's money, that fear around money is the most controlling things. And that could be within yourself and having a lack of, or a sense of lack of. And I know for me, money things were a big issue for a lot of years for me. And just knowing that, that fear of money, if that fear of money is the biggest ball and it's the biggest weight on you, then it controls you, then it owns you. And so knowing that we are in a time of uncertainty, the card says it, and we're transforming beyond that. So without even knowing it, this whole system world, the one that's built on establishments and organizations like that control us, really has no idea that they're also doing us a favor, because they are getting people are rising up and taking charge, and they're looking at things in a different way. That if they're waiting for, well, you're tied to the pension, or you're tied to this, you're tied to that, is that you're looking at it like I'm a puppet on a string. And what they're doing right now is the strings are being pulled, right? And so the puppet on the string energy is showing that you are tied to something where, as much as we say, I'm not, no one will ever control me, to a certain degree, we are experiencing it right now. So that's what you're going to see, some of those shifts and changes. And you're going to see, even some of you make those choices and decisions to look at it in a different way, to explore it differently. Now, I'm not saying go quit your jobs, but knowing that there's something more, and to not let the fear of money, because that's also ties into the emotional, that ties into the lack of, the fear of money to control and own you. And then we have the 8 of earth. So we have 2 earth cards, and we have the 7 of fire. And 7 of fire is like get above the problem. Don't let that problem own you. And then we have the skilled work is rewarded. And we're being schooled right now. What all of this is right now is life. Life is school. And we're being schooled. We're getting, wisdom from this and knowledge from this experience of, what do we want our next life to look like? What do we want it to feel like? And do we, now that I can see how easily it's, the rug can be pulled out from underneath us, how do I create my stability? How do I create my life? And so we are back in school. We're being schooled. We'll graduate from it. We'll make our way through, and then we'll have our comeback, right? And then that comeback, who do I become on the comeback? And that's one of the biggest questions. And What do I want to see? What do I want to feel like on the other side of this? Damn well don't want to feel like this, right? It's like, and those things are real, but you can be honest with your emotions so that you can question your emotions. Yes, so there's times that I act like I'm 5. I'm having a tantrum. I'm having a fit. Now, why am I having that tantrum fit? Because there's an inner child energy. There's an inner child energy that is holding you there. So it is being charged. What am I charging up on? What am I fueling on? What from the past owns me? What has that place, right? And so what's placing me in that same place? So we're still connecting to the past. What do I need to charge? What do I need to charge up on? And actually, one of my videos, I think it was the one from last night or today that went out in the walk with me, was about the will. This is a powerful time when we have to break through the veil, the barriers of will, and understand what will means, our own will, and that will of God, our own will and the will of God. Where do we pull from? And breaking through our own will means our own stubbornness, our own sense of control, our own fears. And what I spoke of in the walk with me was to walk. I said, my dog, my little Sid, is like bad hips. She can't walk very far. And so she can only kind of get to the end of my fence and like probably like 4 minutes out. And then she's huffing and puffing and her leg is, but she loves to go outside. So there's, she pushes beyond her pain. She pushes beyond her misery because she doesn't have an emotional connection to her misery. She doesn't say, I can't. So she doesn't have an emotional connection to her misery, to her hurt in her body. So she just knows that she just wants to go. All she wants to do is go. So she just goes. And then when she can't walk no more, she depends on me to become her support, because all she wants is to get to the top of the hill. And when she gets to the top of the hill, it's empty space. And she knows that she can get off the leash and then she can just roam around. So she finds a will. She finds the will to push beyond that will of the mind to say no. And she pushes beyond and she finds a way and she uses me to be her support to help get her to the top of the hill. And she gets to the top of the hill. She gets where she needs to go because she does not quit, because she doesn't have an emotional connection to why she should give up, why she should stop trying, why she should, and she keeps going. And that's us. This is a time when we have to break beyond, go beyond the barrier of the will to push ourselves. And these are the parts of us that we were not prepared for. No one prepares us for the reasoning, for the intuition. They teach you about smell, sense, like all of those things, and to connect to that. But you're not prepared for the other part. And we learn that a lot when you go to business coaching. You learn a lot about the other aspects. When you go to life coaching, when you go to any healing work, we learn about those other parts of us. When you go to more than existing, you learn about all of this stuff. You learn about the things that nobody prepares you for. No schools do, nowhere does. And so breaking through the barriers of our own issue, of our own ego, of our own fears, of all of that, becomes that instead of thinking there's no way or stuck in the mud, is I'm going to find a way. There has to be a way. So that's how we keep finding that way back up. So yes. Yes, and then Lisa teaches it in human design as well, in the energy centers of the heart, or the energy of our open centers. We teach about that as well. So yeah. Hello, everyone who joined in. It's hard for me to talk and channel at the same time. Carlene, that's what started me on the journey of finding me. It all started with a gut feeling. No matter what I've gone through these past 8 years, I am at peace. I feel calmness inside. Nothing I have ever felt before. I'm staying on this path, just like you said, no matter the cost. Exactly. And that's the quote going into More Than Existing, into the book, is I'm done. I'm finding my way to joy and happiness no matter the cost. And it has cost me everything to get there. But when you can make peace with it, and you can just make this, making peace with, this is where we are, but how do we overcome this? How do we get here? Well, it starts with us. Let's start right here, right now, with us. And I hope those cards help you as we come into the weekend. Like I said, I am coming back tomorrow. I wasn't going to come in as long tonight. Yes, and yeah, okay, I just read that. I'm like, I got messages coming up on both now. Yeah, and so and that human design Lisa teaches, that she talks about, there's actually a free introduction into that as well. Plus she has a couple courses that are coming up. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening in the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness. If you're not in there, it is free to enter the school. It's free. And so there's a lot of free things in there. Now the programs are not all free, but we make sure we have a balance of what is free, what's available, different price ranges, so it can help people. Am I freezing? Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on with the internet. It's really, really windy out, so that might be it. More Than Existing was a powerful experience of learning to trust in self. So grateful for, thank you, Lisa. Well, I'm glad this was wise sharing, Lisa. One thing I can tell you all is when I'm done, I don't remember it. So when it's out of me, it's gone and it's not there. But we will end with one last card for tonight, and I will post. Be watching on the page, and all of the events that are coming up are all on the page as well. Plus in YouTube, all my videos are there. I'm doing the walk with me videos. You don't have to walk. You can listen without walking, but maybe it'll get you moving. And so those are in there. And I think there's another one released today that came out. And so our card from the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards, which are my cards, is the beautiful transformation. And this is a mirror. And see the storms that are behind us. She's walking through. So she's walking through her own emotions. She's doing the healing work that she needs to do. She's rising up. She knows there's a little rock here. She knows there's a ledge where she can get up. She knows there is a way. She's making a choice to deal with those emotions. She knows that she's holding that world in her hands. And your world is only in the hands of somebody else when you allow yourself to be programmed with that story, when you keep telling yourself that story. And then you recognize the areas where I am kind of being tied to the strings, and to let those strings have so much tension that it pulls you into the direction of kind of losing your way and losing your truth. And knowing that, sometimes we do have to make, tough decisions and choices, and we have to make those choices, but you have to live with them. And that's what you have to remember. You're always going to be at the door. And when I was met with that choice, and I made my choice and my decision, and it cost me a child. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And everybody's experience through that is very different. And that's why I say I don't know anyone else's. I know a lot of people's experiences, and some don't have the same emotional connection that I had to it. And so the cost of the second child was what it cost me, and that I could never get back. And so who did I need to become on the other side of that? And so I had to want to find a new sense of why and a purpose. And I had to use that experience to be of the highest good, to be of service, so that I could be there for other people. And that's what I did. Instead of staying in the misery, I made a choice to use it as jet fuel in my heart, to charge forward, to find the strength, the courage to be able to speak my truth, to heal beyond it, and to then be able to inspire other people to not to let anyone else make those choices and decisions for them, to help them heal, and to know that during that time of all through More Than Existing, it's about making peace, finding that sense of calmness, the peace, because you'll never make a wise decision when you're in chaos. When we can be at peace right here and we can be calm, we'll make wise decisions. And so the transformation that comes to the mirror is that she will step up and she will step out. You see the flowing of her arms and her everything, is that she's really looking in. She's looking into, and she knows there's a new direction. She doesn't have to look straight ahead yet. She doesn't have to go straight ahead. She can travel through her space, through her energy, and in time, she will walk ahead. And so there's a time for pause, for reflection, to breathe through, and to just know sometimes you may have to ask others to hold the space for you. And that's what I try to do with this space right here, is to hold space, to be here, and hopefully to inspire others. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being here. Much, much love. And we will see you sometime tomorrow. Mwah. Love you all. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. Bye-bye.